All right, here's some homework help for tonight. We are working on dividing integers today. This story problem says that during a 5-day work week, the stock market decreased by 65 points. Determine the average daily change in the market for the week. So there's a couple of key points that we want to think about. First of all, we're talking about decreasing a total of 65 points. So hopefully we're seeing that as a negative value, negative 65. We also have another keyword in average daily change. That's telling us that the change that happens each day is going to be an equal amount because it's an average. So here's just some things that I'm thinking to set this up. First is that if I'm understanding the problem correctly, is that over 5 days, 65 total points were lost, represented by negative 65. This is just what I'm thinking before I go to solve this question. I'm thinking that average daily change means an equal change each day, just as I said before. We talk a lot about when we have a number in math that we're sharing equally. That's a huge key that is division. Or if we say the words put into equal groups or something like that. This is similar here when we talk about an average daily change. It's the same number over a certain amount of days. So the picture that would go with that would look something like what I've got here. I've also written down my thoughts before I solve this: 65 points lost in 5 days, losing the same amount each day, and then I represented it. So this whole entire rectangle would be my 65 total points lost. That would be from here all the way to the end. There's my 65 total points lost. And then I've represented each day in each one of these boxes, and I've tried to get them to be the same size as close as I can, because I know that if they're losing the same amount each day, I need to have a picture that shows the size of the boxes being the same if it's the same amount. So I know my total. I know how many days I'm dividing the points up over. The unknown that I'm looking for is the total for each day. So each one of these. The number sentence that matches what I'm trying to solve is negative 65 divided by 5. And so the rules for dividing integers are pretty simple. I'll write them here at the top. We reviewed these today. A positive number divided by a positive number is always going to give us a positive number, just like we've always known. But a negative number divided by a negative number is going to give us a positive answer. These are one of the rules that we learned today. But when one of the things that we're either the dividend or the divisor, if one of them is negative, but the other is positive, our answer will be negative. And it doesn't matter if we start with a positive divided by a negative, that will also be a negative answer. So those are the basic rules for dividing integers. When we're talking about this question, we have a negative divided by a positive. So we know a negative divided by a positive. We know our answer, when we find it, is going to be a negative answer. And that makes sense, because if we're losing the same amount each day, it would be the same negative number each day. We're going to divide these like we normally would, and then make sure that we know our answer is negative. So we use long division if we don't already know the answer in our head. 5 goes into 6 once. 1 times 5 is 5. Subtract and bring down. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. We have a remainder of 0. We have an answer of 13, but we need to remember we're talking about a decreasing points, which is negative. So we want negative 13 to be our answer. That means if we checked, if each one of these days the value was negative 13, that would be negative 13 times 5, because there's 5 days, which should get us back to 65. Let's see. We have 13, and we can even call it negative right now if we want to, times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 1 is 5, plus this one right here is 65. And we have a negative times a positive, which is going to make our answer negative. So it checks out, and it makes total sense. To solve this problem, I want you to notice I've got a lot of thoughts on the page. I've got a drawing on the page. I've got plenty of work to prove my answer. Make sure that you're proving your answers as you work through these, and don't be ashamed to draw a picture or write down what's happening before you solve it. Hope this helps with your homework tonight, and I hope that you can find ways to represent with pictures and words to help you know how to solve these.